Hello and welcome to 757 Connections. We bring our local business owners to you. Our efforts are designed to introduce the business leaders and the companies they founded directly to you. Share their stories, how they got started, what they specialize in, and why you should consider buying from our local companies. As always, presented by Embrace Business Solutions, everything you need to optimize your company's web presence.
Okay, this morning we're at Providence Computers talking with Michael Karslake. Michael, good morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, Jim. Mike Karslake with Providence Computers, the store here in Chesapeake. So, Mike Karslake is from Michigan. Lived there for a good long time and then moved here in about 1985. Went to Regent University to get a Master's of Divinity. I came from Michigan already having a bachelor in music and mathematics and had gotten into different professions. One of them was sales. I sold calendars, ink pens, all kinds of imprinted stuff. In Michigan, was pretty successful with that. I went to work for several companies while getting the degree, and two of them turned out to be computer companies. That was in 1986. And so computers were at their infancy, microcomputers, I should say, being in the DOS world, DOS, disk operating system. So that was when Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and all those guys were really getting started. So the first development that was important was clone computers came out that were something like the big box ones, but they were plain vanilla box computers. So I got trained on those as a salesperson. I trained on DOS, then I saw Windows invented. Then we moved into many other types of systems. Needless to say, by the time I graduated in 1990, I had begun my own computer business called Providence Computers.
Tell us a little bit about Providence Computers. Where are you located? What you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself as far as Providence is concerned.
Well, thank you, Jim. So this is about the 37th year of Providence Computers, which gives us some longevity. And we started basically in Chesapeake. Providence Computers started while I was getting this Master's of Divinity degree. And by the time I graduated, I had a company. So the company had clients, and I had a sales background in my life, so I just went off selling computers to people. The first 3 or 4 years, I sold a lot of computers. Even the third year, I sold $800,000 worth of computers in the third year. So my accountant at the time said, you know, you're doing great selling, but you haven't made any money. I said, well, that's a problem. I was very good at competitive bidding, but sometimes that means that you win the bid, lose money if you aren't watching your costs and overruns and everything else properly. So I had to gradually educate myself on the profit side of the business. I had lots of customers, including CBN was one of my first customers.
Wow.
Also, a place called The Family Channel was one of my first customers. So early on, I actually worked with some of the Robertsons over at CBN. One of the most interesting clients back then was Robertson for 88, the political campaign.
Yeah.
I was on the campaign headquarters so often that they asked me where was my security badge. I said, well, I'm not an employee, so I don't have a security badge. Americans for Robertson campaign was over with. A new group started from that, and it was called the Christian Coalition. So that organization was run by a kind of a guy who became famous. His name was Ralph Reed. And at the very beginning of the Christian Coalition, Mike Karslake and Providence Computers were his first computer company. We're so close that we actually shared an office suite. So Christian Coalition was in half of it, Providence Computers was in half of it. We shared space for about 6 months. Because Ralph Reed, the Christian Coalition, grew so fast, they couldn't stay in that space. They had to move out. I stayed their computer support IT specialist for about 6 years. The next famous client I had from that little group was called American Center for Law and Justice. Norm Berman, Keith Fournier, and a few other people got that started. And I stayed their IT person for, I don't know, another 5 or 6 years into Jay Sekulow getting started at American Center for Law and Justice.
Right.
Now known as primarily ACLJ and quite a famous organization. Over the years, we've had at least 50,000 customers. We've done $18 or $20 million worth of business.
Mike, any words, final words here before we close it out with Providence Computers?
Yes, I can just say that Providence, the name of this company is God, has been the provider for Providence Computers for 37 years. Without him, without his provision, his intelligence, not mine, we would not still exist. So we just want to praise God this morning. Providence is awesome, and it's why we're here.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for supporting 757 Connections. We strive to introduce to you in a meaningful way the business owners of our community in an effort to better connect us all. We ask for your continued support and that you refer your friends and family in our efforts to introduce the tremendous entrepreneurs within our region. Once again, presented by Embrace Business Solutions, your leader in website development, hosting, and results.